Hello, everybody. It's our third webinar today, and I'm really glad to see you. So please say hello in the chat. Tell me how are you today. I would be really glad to know a little bit about your day, maybe even week. So feel free to text in the chat, and you can share whatever mood you have today. So please leave some comments there. That would be a great idea. Okay, hello. So lots of you are currently typing. Hey there. Yeah, I can see your comments. That's amazing. So as some people are still joining, I guess we can still get started. So today we're gonna have another topic about grammar. So unlike the previous one, today we speak about past tenses, and also we will have a brief look at used to construction. And we will practice some use of English tasks and maybe get some more tips on how to do them. All right, so really happy to see your comments. It was fun today. Nice. So then I have a few questions for you. Again, please get ready to answer in the comments. So did you visit our previous webinar? Yes or no? Give me some information about that. So did you visit our previous webinar? If yes, give me some reaction. Okay. Yeah, I remember some of you, some familiar names. That's great. Okay, if you are here for the first time, then it's still amazing. There are many new topics, very interesting topics ahead. And for those who were absent before, my name is Lilia, so happy to have all of you. But most of you are not new here, which is amazing. So my next question to those who answered yes. What was the previous topic? What did we discuss at the previous lesson? Who can tell me? Who remembers? So, should be some comments. Present tenses, yes, exactly. All four of them. And the grammar that we were learning was all about present simple, present continuous, present perfect continuous. So unlike that, today we are going to have a look at past tenses, and I hope it's not secret to you that we have also 4 tenses. Just like in present, we have 4 past tenses. So I think we can get started. Hello to everybody who keeps joining. Really glad to see you. So, first of all, let me introduce past simple to you and the use of it. So typically we use it when something happened in some finished period of time. So unlike present perfect, which means something that happened today or this week or this year, in past simple, the action was left in the past. So it's not here anymore. Everything that happened in past simple happened last week, last year, last Monday, and so on. Also, we use past simple for some general facts or states from the past. Like, Mike was very sad yesterday. Is he sad right now? No, he changed his mood probably, but he was sad, so it was some fact about his previous state. I'm happy that you like learning English. All right, also we use past simple to mark some actions happening one after another. So if you, for example, describe your morning, you would use past simple. I woke up, I brushed my teeth, I washed my face, I dressed up, then I went to the kitchen, I had some breakfast, and then I went to school. All of these actions you would use in past simple, logically, because you just list one after another after another. And we naturally use past simple for some short actions, especially comparing to something longer. For example, when I was at the lesson, I saw something funny. Or I learned some interesting fact. All of these action, when you saw something, when you heard something, when you learned something, were short comparing to the duration of the lesson itself. So you would use past simple for them. Okay. Yeah, and today we have the 1st of March. Thank you for reminding, but let's focus on past today. So we use past continuous to speak about some long actions. So if there is past continuous, there should be some duration of the action. For example, when we have two actions in progress at the same time, like while I was cooking, one long action, he was playing computer games, another long action. So they go kind of parallelly at the same time. Also, we use past continuous when we speak about some action in progress at some specific time. So let's compare two sentences. I read a book yesterday. Did it take me all yesterday or it was shorter? What do you think? I read a book yesterday. All day long or it was shorter? Can see your comments. Yeah, of course it was shorter. So naturally I use past simple because yesterday is like big duration of time and me reading a book maybe an hour, maybe even 2, but still not all the day. Like I still did some other action throughout yesterday. But if I say I read a book at 5 o'clock yesterday, probably mentioning 5 o'clock, my time of reading book was a bit longer. So when we show something in progress or during some period of time, that's continuous. And also we use continuous to mark some action that was interrupted by some intervention. For example, when I was having my breakfast, long thing I was enjoying, my mom phoned me. So she interrupted my meal by calling me. Okay. And there is past simple that we mark for that shorter action, which is used for interruption. So, I read a book or I was reading a book. What do you think? What is better to use? It really depends. So, just like we were speaking, I read a book yesterday would mark short action compared to the time mentioned, and yesterday is pretty big. But I was reading a book marks some exact time on the timeline, and it can be marked in continuous in 3 different ways. So you rather mention the duration from 10 to 1, like time limits from 2, or you mention for how long, like for 3 hours, or you can choose just one point at which the action was in progress, like it started earlier, it will finish later, but at 11:30 sharp, I was reading a book. I was busy reading. So that is basically it about past continuous. And now let's check you. So what do you think? What should we use in the first gap? Like try to open the brackets. Try to use the word go in some correct form. Hello, everybody. I'm really glad you're joining. So, okay. Yesterday we went to the party. Right, we use past simple form of go, which is went, irregular verb. Good. What about the second sentence? Why Sarah? Play, the guests knock on the door. So what should we do is play. Was playing. Absolutely right. So here on the board you can see some signal words that help you understand whether there is past simple or past continuous. So we naturally use past simple when we speak about big period of time comparing to the duration of the action. Коли у нас час значно довший в порівнянні з тривалістю дії, ми зазвичай використовуємо past simple. For example, yesterday, last week, year, 2, 3, 5 days ago. Also, we can say then, like тоді, or when something else happened, or in some year, or even in some decade. So all of that goes to past simple. And vice versa, when we have whether exact marking of time, which equals the duration of the action, or even shorter period of time than the action itself, we use past continuous. Тобто, коли у нас дія або така ж сама по довжині, як тривалість виконує, як час зазначений, або час навіть ще коротший, ніж назначена дія, ми використовуємо past continuous. For example, I was reading at 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock is a moment, you reading a bit longer. Also, we can use it with when, while, and some specific moments. If you want to mark some duration, you can say all day yesterday. Like it was really long. I was studying all day yesterday. So equals the time and the action you mentioned. So speaking of while and when, they are the time markers to link to actions in past. So let's remember the rules. We typically use while before long actions or before past continuous. For example, the woman was splashed by a car while walking down the street. So she was walking for some time, continuous action, but the car that splashed her was like a second, maybe two, right? So the woman was splashed, past simple, by a car while walking down, long action. We can use when before any action. So if you use when, it could be anything, like short or long, doesn't matter. For example, when the woman was walking down the street, the car splashed her. Or the woman was walking down the street when the car splashed her. So basically, you use while only before long actions, but when can be used with both. And please remember not to use while when you have a short action. So the woman was walking down the street while the car splashed her. Would it be like that? Sounds correct or not really? For me, it's not. So I would cross while and I would change it for when to make it better. Because car splashed is a short action. So here we have a general grammar chart of using past simple and past continuous. So you probably, I hope that you know that in past simple we have two possible ways of presenting something. With to be, бездієслівні речення, ми використовуємо дієслово to be in its past form. For example, right now I am happy and yesterday I was happy. We don't need any did or something like that there. And when we have a sentence with a verb, дієслівне речення, we would use the second form of this verb or in the ending, depending whether it's regular, правильне дієслово, or irregular, неправильне дієслово. And when it comes to past continuous, you should always use was, were, and ing ending of the main verb. Тобто, у continuous у нас завжди буде дієслово to be у минулій формі, і після того основне дієслово в інговому закінченні. Не путаємо з past simple to be sentences, бездієслівні речення. If you have questions about that, please ask me. I will explain. If not, let's move on. So if any questions, feel free to ask in the comments. And now let's decide whether this sentence is correct. At this time yesterday, I was passing my English exam and I was knowing all the answers. Correct or not correct? In the comments. All right, I can see some really correct answers. So we cannot say I was knowing. We would say I knew the answers. But why so? Why can't we say I was knowing the answers? It was like the duration when I was doing my exam. So why isn't it correct? Any ideas? So actually, that's because know is a state verb. Exactly. So we have the answer from Slavochka, and that's right. So here I have just a few stative verbs as an example. You know that at our previous webinar, we had much more detailed look at them. So I recommend you to find that information in webinar number 2. Yeah, and now just remember that doesn't matter if you speak about present continuous, past continuous, future continuous, we can never use these words in those tenses. Like any continuous, or they are used without these words. So now let's focus on some irregular verbs, неправильных дієсловах. So what do you think? What is the second and the third form of the verb to catch, like ловити, спіймати? So who can write? Okay, so that's right, catch, caught, caught. Two forms are absolutely the same. Good. All right, what about draw? How to make the past form of draw? And the third one, maybe? Draw, drew. The third form? Drawn. With A. Pay attention, that's important. Draw, drew, drawn. Okay, to hide, ховати. Any ideas? So to hide. Hid. Hidden. Not hid, probably that's a typo. So hid, hidden. Remember, I hid from somebody when we were playing catch and seek, and I was hidden well, kind of that. Okay, to lie as лежати. We had that verb before, so who remembers? Let's check your memory. To lie as лежати. To lie, lay, and the third form, laying. Okay, so I lay, for example, at the seaside or at the sea last summer. And what about to lie as брехати? Who remembers? To lie, lied, lied. Okay, good job. So you remember that. And what about to wear? Like носити, одягати. Носити одяг. So to wear. Wore. And the third form, worn. Yeah, good job. So, if you need more irregular verbs, you can scan the link, but I'm pretty sure I left the same link in the comments at the previous webinar, so you can check it there as well. And let's keep moving. So now you have the following sentences, which you have to fill in with the words from the box using the correct form. So it might be whether past simple or past continuous. So let's focus on sentence number 1. When I left home this morning, the sun. What happened with the sun? And what form should we use? Shone. Well, yeah, we should use shine, but should we use simple or continuous? The sun was shining, so we kind of describe the background. It started shining before I left my house, and it kept shining for some time after. So comparing to me leaving the house, the sun was shining for a very long time. So I would use continuous here. Good. Number 2. The bus at 8:45. So what happened with me and the bus? I was waiting, possible, but we don't have that. So I caught the bus. Look at the words in the box. I caught the bus, like я сів на автобус, я спіймав автобус. I caught the bus at 8:45. Okay, number 3. Again, look at the words from the box. Try to use them. While I my bike to school this morning, I saw an accident. While I was riding, long action, I saw an accident, short action. Okay, number 4. When we arrived at the station, a lot of people were buying, but probably they were waiting to buy tickets, right? Yeah, so they were in line, they were studying and waiting. Good. Number 5. So she and her ticket and got on the train. She bought. Short action, yeah, everything's logical. Okay, number 6. Somebody stole his passport while he was looking for something in his luggage. He was looking for something, longer action. Somebody stole his passport, shorter. Okay, number 7. There was a delay with the plane because what happened? Okay, because it was snowing very hard. Yeah, like the weather condition was pretty long. So there was a delay. Okay, and number 8. As she was leaving the shop, she heard somebody call her name. So it was a pretty short action there. All right. So then let's focus a little bit on some other ways to express past actions. And here on the slide, you can see like very famous movie, I guess, Barbie, right? So remember her life like before and after she faced the real world. What was her world like before she actually faced the reality? Or what was the Barbie like who remembers? Like any comments? So who can tell me what was she like before she faced the real world? I can say probably that, yeah, it was funny, or she used to be funny, or she used to be happy all the time, right? But it changed a little bit as she kind of started discovering some new places. Okay, also, I would say that she didn't used to think of any problems. But after she faced the real world, it changed as well. So she started like thinking that not everything is bright and shiny. Okay, she used to feel comfortable. Yes, Helen, thank you. Okay, and she would wake up every morning in a good mood and greet her Barbie friends. So all of that was true about her, but it changed. So when we speak about something that changes a lot, we typically use used to or would phrases to mark these differences. So let's check the rules. We typically use was, used to, and would to speak about repeated past actions or habits, which are not true anymore. For example, we used to spend the weekends at our aunt's house. Like it was typical for us, we would visit her like every weekend. Or we can say we would spend the weekends at our aunt's house. So we used to spend, we would spend, if we speak about regular, repeated action, would be absolutely the same. But we can use used to only to describe some states that were true in the past but are not true anymore. For example, I used to be scared of spiders when I was a child. Like я боялася павуків у дитинстві, but now I don't. Can we say I would be scared of spiders when I was a child? What do you think? Yes or no? No, we cannot. So we don't use would when we speak about states, only about repeated actions. So in my childhood, I would always wake up to school early. But we cannot say in my childhood, I would always be happy. That's not right. So instead of saying would, we can say only she used to be happy. So now look at these three sentences and decide which of them might be a false one. He would move to London in 2007. He used to move to London in 2007, and he moved to London in 2007. Which one is right? Which one is wrong? Your comments, please. Okay, so many answers, but you don't say which one is right, which one is wrong. Okay, the last one is correct. Absolutely right. Thank you, Helen. So here you can clearly see that if it's one-time action, we don't use neither would nor used to. We can use only past simple. So again, used to is a good idea for repeated actions or states in the past. Would is a good idea for repeated actions, but only past simple is a nice thing to use when we speak about one-time actions from the past. Okay, so now let's check you one more time. And here you have to put the number of the sentence and one of the possible ideas to use. So it could be used to, it could be would, or it could be just past simple. Your choice. So when we lived in Brighton, my father would go swimming, used to go swimming, or went swimming? What would you say? Had. Like змушений був. Nobody forced him, so I wouldn't. Oh, it's number 2. I'm sorry. So we can say my father used to go swimming or would go swimming as a repeated action. So was are right here. Number 2. I had a small green bicycle. That is right. What else is possible? I used to have a small green bicycle. Like, I don't have it anymore, so in the past I used to have it. But we cannot say I would have because that was a state, not a repeated action. So, number 3, let me see, I already have some comments. Okay, did you used to believe in ghosts? Correct. We can just say, did you believe? But we can say, did you used to believe? Highlighting that now the person doesn't. All right, and number 4, every year in the summer, we would travel. Yep, we traveled, also possible. Can we say we would travel? Yeah, that's also possible. So every year in the summer, we would travel because it was a repeated action happening every summer. All right, I already see some comments for number 5. She used to like sugar in her coffee. Yep, why not? Can we say she would like sugar in her coffee? No, we cannot. So it's only about used to because to like or dislike is a state verb. So we don't use would with it. Okay, and the last one, we. Any ideas? I already see some answers. So we used to walk home. Agree. Can we say we would walk home through the park? Yeah, why not? If it is some repeated action, then all are possible. Nice. Really happy to see your correct comments. So let's keep moving and focus on some things which are even more crazy. So not only we can mark past actions with this construction used to, but also it can be applied to some different situation with a bit of change in its form. So is it the same or not when I say I used to spend time at the seaside and I got used to spend the time at the seaside? Is it the same or not? So they are different. And when we say I used to, that's about something that happened before, like раніше, колись, as you see on the slide. But when you say about getting used to something, it's the process of becoming okay, like звикати, набувати якоїсь звички. So, get used to, become accustomed, ставати звиклим до чогось. For example, it took my mother years to get used to living in London. Це зайняло моїй мамі роки звикнути до життя в Лондоні. So to get used to, it's the process of becoming okay with something. And what about be used to? Here we speak about something that's already fine for us. So when you say, I am used to that, it's like, oh, it's absolutely fine for me. Like, I have no troubles, no discomfort about something. Like here, I am a teacher, so I am used to speaking in public. It's completely comfortable for me right now to have such webinars, even though sometime before it was a bit stressful. So when you say I am used to, it's like я звиклий, я маю цю звичку. I get used to, я звикаю. I'm in the process. Let's check. So, you need to find some mistakes, and if you spot them, put the number and some corrections. So the first one, I am used to love watching hospital dramas on TV, but now I'm not interested. What is wrong here? How to make this sentence correct? Put the number 1, and your comments. So, yes, absolutely right. We just say I used to without am. Okay, very good, because it happened in the past. So, number 2. I know your job is difficult at the moment, but you will get used to it. So, correct or not correct? You say seems correct. Right? Because it is. Good job there. All right, what about number 3? She can't get used to have such a big breakfast. She usually just has a piece of toast. So what about number 3? She can't get used to have such a big breakfast. So when we get used or can't get used, usually it's about something. So she can't get used to having with ing ending. Let's put it here. To having. Almost there. Sorry. Okay. What about number 4? I already see some comments. So, did you used to go to my school? It's not correct. So, any ideas of number 4? Did you used to go to my school? What's wrong? It is incorrect. So, what's the mistake? If we have did, yeah, it's enough to say just use without ed ending. Did you used to go to my school? No, I didn't. Or yes, I used to go to my school. Okay, number 5, correct or not? I can't be used to the cold weather in this country. Let me check your comments. Yes, that's good. So we say I can't get used. Не можу звикнути. So get about the process, about becoming or not becoming. Okay. And what about number 6? Some of you say it's fine. So let's check our case. Yep, absolutely. Seems correct. Good job. Let's keep moving. So then, now please, look at this guy. What can you tell me about him? Like, what about his choice of outfit? Yeah, he's walking for sure. What about the weather? Does it seem fine for shorts and short-sleeved shirt? Okay, so he got used, like звикав. Probably he is used to cold temperatures. That could be. He's now wearing warm clothes. No, not warm, vice versa. But okay. So what do you think? Had he checked the weather forecast before he went outdoors? We can say he is used to cold. Yeah. Okay. So I would say that he hadn't checked the weather forecast before he left home. So here we are focused on past perfect, and past perfect is used when we want to show that something happened or vice versa didn't happen correctly, as in this case, before another action in the past. So we have some moment in the past simple, he left home. Everything that happens before that, earlier than that, would be in past perfect. Okay, so which action happened first? He left home or the weather forecast he had to check? the weather forecast, of course. And that is past perfect. And which action happened next? I think it's logical that he left home, so that is past simple. So when we want to show like the difference in time between two actions and emphasize, наголосити, that one of them happened earlier, we would use past perfect. So we can say he didn't check the weather forecast, but he hadn't checked it better. So we use past perfect to speak about some events, typically finished activities that happened before the main event. If the main event happened earlier, you can use past simple for everything, logically just like continuing the story. I woke up, and then a lot of things happened to me. But if you say that before some things happened to me, I had woken up after the nightmare or something like that. So if you switch the order, past perfect is needed. So let's look at the sentence here. Before we came to the restaurant, we had booked a table. What happened earlier? We come into the restaurant or we book in the table. Of course, we booked a table first, and only then we came to the restaurant. So we can use past simple to mark another action to make it clear. Okay, now you have the pairs of options, one in past simple, another in past perfect. You have to decide which to use. So number one, by the time I could talk to her, she decided or had decided to quit her job. By the time I could talk to her, she had decided, like first she made the decision, she had made the decision, and then I was able to talk to her. Number two, I looked at the photo and suddenly realized that I saw or had seen that man before. Yep, that's B, had seen. So I looked at the photo already in past simple. So I had seen the man before any of those sections. Number three, had James already cooked breakfast when you got up or had got up? Got up, because he cooked the breakfast earlier and only after you got up in past simple. And number four, I asked Sarah if she wanted to go for a walk, but she still hadn't finished her homework. So it wasn't ready before I started asking her. So she hadn't finished before I asked. All right. So now let's focus on one more tense in the past, which is past perfect continuous. The principle is absolutely the same as we spoke about present tenses, like present perfect and present perfect continuous. So, as well as there, past perfect focuses more on the result, while past perfect continuous focuses on the duration, meaning how long the action was in progress. So, can you guess which of these sentences, okay, both of them are in past perfect continuous. She had been waiting for 2 hours, when he finally arrived. And Patrick looked tired. Why? Because he had been working all night. So, again, we can clearly see whether the duration of the action before another action began or some side evidence of the progress of this process. Like he looked tired. Why? Because he had been working apparently for a long time. That made him look tired. So we use past perfect continuous to speak about actions which started in the past and continued up to another action. For example, she had been waiting for 2 hours when the bus finally arrived. And when the bus arrived, in past simple, she stopped waiting and actually started another action, like her journey. So our webinars are usually 1 hour long, so we have 15 minutes left. Also, we use past perfect continuous to mark some actions that had just finished or maybe still were in progress, but had some effect on a specific time in the past. Like here, Patrick looked tired because he had been working all night. So, his work all night long made him look tired. We have clear effect on the state in the past by this action. Тобто дія, яка відбувалася раніше, мала якийсь вплив, якийсь ефект, зазвичай негативний, але не завжди, на ще одну дію в минулому, на новішу дію в минулому. Okay, so the difference between past continuous and past perfect continuous, yeah? All right. So, look here. When we say just I was working, do we limit it with any other action or not? So, let's imagine we have a timeline, right? And we have, for example, some time limit on this timeline. So I can say here that I was reading, let's say, from 6 to 7:30 yesterday. So no more actions included. Nothing limits me. It's just one action in the past. But if I want to say that I had been reading, then there should be some other action that happens right here, right as the action stops. For example, I had been reading for an hour and a half when my friend finally called me and said she was ready to go for a walk. So she called me here, and from this moment, which is already in the past, I can look back at the duration of my action. So that's the difference. Past continuous, just the duration. Past perfect continuous, the duration that limits by some action in the past. Have I explained that, Slavочka? Just let me know. Okay, happy to hear. So let's keep moving. And now maybe the difference between past perfect and past perfect continuous. So here are the main time markers. So when we use words like after, before, by the time, until, and so on, that's typically past perfect. But the same words can be used in past perfect continuous. So here, mostly the difference is in the context, whether you want to focus on the result or on the duration of the action. So look at the sentences. They had saved $3,000 before they won the money in a lottery. So they won some money, past simple. But before that happened, they already had some result, $3,000. That's a lot, right? So we use past perfect because we mark the result before another action. In past perfect continuous, the situation is a bit different. They had been saving money for 3 years. We don't know the result. We know the duration for 3 years before they won the money in the lottery. So that's the main difference between those two tenses. If any more questions, feel free to ask. I'll be glad to help you. And we proceed to the final part of our today's webinar. So we focus on use of English tips. You know that the final task of your NMT test is dedicated always to some grammar knowledge. And when you have it, you may even not read the whole text. You have to focus on the task, like on that very sentence you need. Then you check the options, you cross out the odd ones, and after that, you try to look what looks better and try to, I don't know, like evoke all your knowledge of grammar and use it actively. And then once you put the correct answer, you should read it to check whether you was right. Okay, so let's try doing that here with the text. So we have all about past tenses, so you should be very careful. Again, tell me please, do we need to read the whole text to give the right answers? Typically no, only the sentence that we are working with. So let's get started. 12 Years a Slave is an award-winning film that tells the story of an African-American called Solomon Northup, who, what should we say, was, used to, had, or would be a free man until one day. So can we say who would be? Is it some repeated action to be a free man? Definitely not. Can we say who was be a free man? We could say who was but not was be. So who used to be? Answer B is right, yeah. But then something changed. So, what about number 2? Please mention numbers. Будь ласка, вказуйте номер відповіді, тому що я не розумію, до якої з них відноситься ваша літера. So, what about number 2? So, until one day in 1841, when his life changed completely. We don't have any limiting actions after it. У 841-му життя змінилося. Just past simple, nothing more. Okay, what about 3? Northup in New York for years. When one day something else happened. So, he in number 3. Okay, why not D in the second one? Because if we say had changed before something else, but here vice versa, something had been true and then it changed. Тобто новіша дія завжди в past simple. Все, що до якоїсь дії в past simple, past perfect. Якщо немає обмежувача в формі якогось часу в минулому або іншої дії в минулому, нам не потрібен past perfect. Це past simple. Okay, so number 3. Would. Okay, so had been living, long process in the past before another action. So he had been living there 4 years, duration, before one day two men did something bad, right? What did they do? Number 4. A, they offered him. So again, mark this rule. When you have a sentence with two past things and one of them is already past perfect or past perfect continuous, typically the other one would be just past simple because we cannot put everything in past perfect and have nothing in past simple. That doesn't work like that. Again, I remind you to give the numbers of your answers. So what about number 5? A place, Northup. Had never been to before. So the difference between been and gone. Gone, it's like поїхати, піти в один кінець і не повернутися. Been to, it's like he visited that place and came back. Again, remember the previous webinar, we had that topic there briefly. So number 6. However, once they arrived, the 2 men would drug, were drugging, had been drugging, or drugged. So they drugged him, like one short action, and sold him another short action to slavery. If you retell the story in the logical sequence of events, you would just use past simple after past simple. Okay, number 7. Northup's life as a slave it's B. It was unbearable. Just a fact from the past. No limiting points in other tenses. It was unbearable. Okay, he was no longer a free man and had to endure, like витримувати, many years of humiliation and cruelty. Принижень та жорстокості. Humiliation and cruelty. Northup had been a slave for 12 years. Pay attention, like here we have past perfect, before he was finally rescued, and B, had the chance to go back to his family. So if we have had been past perfect in one part, just past simple is enough in the second part. Yeah, very good. And I think we still have time for one more test. So here it's not clearly about past tenses, but it's the example from some previous years NMT or ZNO test. So look carefully and try to give me the correct letters. For the past 2 months, animal trainer Mark Vet. So what's the right option here? Has been teaching, was teaching, taught, or teaches? Has been teaching, that's right. So let's forget about past tenses only. Here all tenses are possible. So he has been teaching up to now, because here we have this are. The lessons are parts, so they are happening now as well. So he has been teaching. Okay, 55. The lessons are part of a campaign by the Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals meant D. To clear up stereotypes about rescue dogs. Meant to do something. Які мають на меті зробити щось. Okay, 56. Sometimes people think because they are getting an animal that A has been abandoned, they are getting in present continuous that has been abandoned in present perfect continuous. So something that happened before. Okay, driving a car, 57. Actively, yep, actively demonstrates to potential dog adopters that you, what? $58. That you can teach, yeah, like that is possible. Absolutely right. Okay, guys, I'm proud of you. We've done everything, and the last part is left. So tricky questions to check your attentiveness throughout this webinar. And tell me, please, can we use when speaking about both continuous and short actions? Yes or no? So when for both short and long actions. Yes, of course. And while For long only. Good. Number 2. Again, mention the numbers because I would be confused. Can we always use would and used to as synonyms? Like, are they always the same? Would and used to? Number 2, mark the number. No, somebody says. Of course, no. So what's the difference, who remembers? That used to is good for both states and repeated actions, while would is good only for repeated actions, not for states. So tell me please, when we say used to, does it mean звикати, звикнути? Like I used to live somewhere? No, it would be get used to. Okay, I get used to living. Я звикаю жити. Right. And number 4, do we use past perfect to speak about a finished activity that happened after another action? So what about number 4? No. What is the correct answer? We use past perfect to talk about the activity that happened before, не після іншої дії, а до, before another action. All right, so that's all from me. We have covered past tenses today. Congratulations. If you still have some questions, doubts, worries, you can rewatch the moments of this webinar that you need in particular. And I hope that you will do great when you meet some past perfect sentence at your NMT test. So, thank you for this webinar. I was glad to see you as always. Enjoy your evening, have great weekends, and let's meet next time. So I will be waiting for all of you. Thank you and goodbye.